Do you ever feel like your relationships could be more fulfilling? Have you ever felt frustrated by shallow or superficial interactions in your relationships or in your Christian community? Maybe you feel like your fellowship is more like water cooler conversations, which lean more towards politics, sports, the latest TV shows, or even worse, the weather. Or when you do get to talking about the Bible, it's just the same old shallow questions and pat answers. Or it's very intellectual, theological mumbo-jumbo that leaves you feeling like, where's the heart in all of this? We all need deeper connection, and in this video, you will discover how you can break through to greater depths in your relationships and experience true, rewarding fellowship the way God intended it. Hello, friends, and welcome to Daily Christian Affirmations. My name is Steve Pedersen. Thank you so much for joining me for this topic, for this discussion. Listen, all of those things that I just discussed, I've been there, and that's the whole reason I'm doing this video, is because I've felt that frustration of like, oh my gosh, can't we get any more deeper than this, right? And maybe you felt that too, and maybe that's why you're here. Maybe it's in a group, or maybe it's a personal relationship that you've struggled with. But I've got some great news, because though I have experienced this, I have also experienced incredibly fulfilling relationships, and I am currently involved in several very fulfilling relationships. And I want to share with you today the key to how I believe that has come about. So what is the difference? What is the key to these fulfilling relationships? Well, it's a spiritual discipline that I call intimacy. And no, it's not romantic intimacy, but rather it is a quality of relationship that we find in verses such as Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, which says, "Some friends play at friendship, but a true friend sticks closer than one's nearest kin." That's a pretty intense relationship. It's the kind of relationship like David had with King Saul's son Jonathan. Upon hearing of his death, this is what David said. In 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 26, it says, "I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You were very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women." Wow, that's a good friend. You see, it's not enough to just get together and exchange pleasantries and platitudes. Sure, it's a necessary first step, but we can really deceive ourselves if our standard or expectation is just simply showing up, even if it is showing up early, with a smile, and with a willingness to participate. For example, if all my wife and I ever talked about were like, hey, what are we going to watch on TV tonight? What's for dinner? Who's picking up the kids from school? When are we going to go to the grocery store? These kinds of things, then we would not have a very fulfilling relationship. And yet, quite often, that's how our Christian fellowship can feel. It's dull, it's flat, it's uninteresting, it's going nowhere, there's no spark, it fails to launch, it just doesn't get very deep. Intimacy, however, takes things to a whole new level of engagement and a whole new level of excitement. So just how does one practice this spiritual discipline of intimacy? What does it look like? What does it take? Well, I think it takes these 5 important key ingredients. Number 1 is intentionality. Spiritual disciplines are by nature a discipline, which means that they take focus and effort. It takes discipline to stay focused on these things. So intentionality is the first thing, because it's not going to just happen, right? There's a lot of, I'm sure you've probably been part of these types of conversations, and I have too, where people say, oh, give me a call sometime. We should get together for lunch. But unless there's like an actual game plan, it just doesn't happen. So, for example, for me, I had a friend who we decided while we still lived in the same city, that we were going to commit to a great friendship. Well, 2 weeks later, he had to move to another state, hundreds of miles away. You know what? We're like, we're going to stay friends. We're going to commit to this. And so every week for the over 10 years, we have this standing time each week that we call each other on the phone, and we're very real with one another. And that doesn't just happen. That takes intentionality. So that's the first thing, intentionality. Secondly, of course, a major factor is vulnerability. And there's several ways of being vulnerable. One way of being vulnerable, I think, is a very interesting way, and that is just asking sincere questions and then really listening. Now, and you might think, wait a second, I thought this intimacy came when I shared. Like, I thought vulnerability was all about me sharing what's going on with me. But here's the thing. When you ask sincere questions and you really listen intently, what you're showing and what you're demonstrating is that you care about this person. And there's something very endearing and something that really helps people open up when you really listen. So that's one way of being vulnerable, is being vulnerable with your time. Another way, of course, this is what vulnerability is all about, and that is being honest. And I would even go so far as saying brutally honest. Now, why do we use that word brutal, right? That doesn't sound like much fun. Because oftentimes when we are being brutally honest, it's a hard blow on our pride, right? So we have to really be transparent with who we are at the deepest level with somebody, right? That's how we're going to build that intimacy. So being brutally honest is the time where we have to put down the mask, put down the persona, let down our guard. And then, like I said, when we do that, other people are just drawn to us because of that. And another way, of course, of being vulnerable is by just apologizing. When you apologize, you put yourself at risk, right, of just, when you admit that you were wrong about something, there's just, ooh, I was wrong. How is this other person going to respond to that? So apologizing, being brutally honest, and asking great questions and listening are all ways of being vulnerable. Thirdly, another thing that intimacy takes is courage. The things that we feel and the things that are going on deepest inside of us are things like doubts, things like fears, embarrassing situations. Like, we just don't want to talk about those things. That's very scary for us to do that. And so it takes courage to overcome the fear of sharing. But not only does it take courage to share these sort of dark secrets and fears and things that people are like, what are they going to think of me if I share this? But it also takes courage to share our hopes and our dreams. Because sometimes our hopes and our dreams, they can seem kind of silly. Maybe in our minds we're thinking of a dream, we're thinking of something, and then we go to share it with a person, and just as we're about to share it, we think, oh, I've never shared this with anybody before, and actually it sounds kind of silly now that I'm thinking about it. So it takes courage to share our hopes and our dreams as well. Fourthly, one of the things that it takes is a safe environment. Now, this comes down to mutual trust and respect. Without that, we just won't feel safe to open up. Now, I've had experiences where people have sort of violated this mutual trust. I was just opening up my heart once to a friend, and after I poured out some really deep stuff, I waited for a response, and there was no response. And so I hung up the phone, and I found out later that this person actually fell asleep while I was sort of confessing all of these things. And that was hard. That was kind of didn't feel like a safe environment for me. There's been other times where I've shared deep things with people, and then I find out they've turned around and told other people in the fellowship, and not in an anonymous way. Like, they shared me specifically, like, and it was under the guise of like, oh, I need help, advising this brother on something that he shared with me. And like, so you told them all of these things that I told you in confidence? So it's super important that we have a safe environment. And because these things do happen, and they will happen, and it's unfortunate, one of the things that is key in creating a safe environment is forgiveness and grace. These guys that I had these interactions with, they're still my friends because there's forgiveness and there's grace. We learned from it, and we learned how to continue to create a safe environment. But one of the things that you want to consider even before opening up is this a wise person to entrust my deepest, darkest secrets to? For two reasons. Are they going to be able to handle it with wisdom? Like, are they going to be able to respond to me in a mature way? And not only that, but, the Bible does say, be careful who you share things with, because you don't want them to stumble. So there's a lot of wisdom that goes into choosing the people that you're going to have in your inner circle and create this safe environment with. Lastly, the fifth thing that I'll just mention is time. It takes time to develop this intimacy. Of course, intimacy and deep intimacy can begin very quickly. You just by sharing some deep stuff with somebody, you can draw people to you very quickly. However, building an intimate relationship does take time, because it takes time to unpack who we really are. And quite oftentimes, as I've discovered, sometimes we don't even know who we really are. And it takes this process of continually opening up and sharing things to really find out who we are. So let's wrap this up. The next time then that you are on your way to go to church, or to maybe a Bible study group, or even just a one-on-one fellowship with another believer, ask yourself, are these situations that I'm getting involved in, are they leading to times of spiritual intimacy and deep connection? Because if not, then I want to invite you to initiate those types of relationships. Be the one that has the courage to open up and go deeper and draw people into a spiritually intimate relationship with yourself. Amen? Well, if you like this idea of intimacy as a spiritual discipline, you'll love the Spiritual Disciplines Journey. This is an exploration of 12 spiritual disciplines that I'm taking a deeper look at throughout the year 2025. I invite you to watch the complete series of disciplines and join me and several others who are exploring these concepts further. There's no charge, and there's a link in the description below the video where you can get access to all the free resources for this journey. I hope you'll join us. Lastly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Please leave a comment below and let me know how this has impacted you today. Until next time, so long, and God bless. Hey friends, in the spirit of true intimacy and vulnerability and transparency, I wanted to share with you a little video I took behind the scenes, sort of a sneak peek behind the scenes of what the set looked like where I recorded this video. I hope you enjoy. Please don't laugh too hard. Hey friend, welcome to my behind the scenes video. I am just doing a little behind the scenes video here of how or what the scene looks like behind the scenes when I create, yes, that was my bedroom. So this is my living room. And my girls are home from college right now, so the place is, we just gotta have some extra stuff, like my daughter did a puzzle. This is a puzzle. The World Political is a 2,000-piece puzzle that she did this summer. And so here is where I'm going to be recording my video here, I have this nice space cleaned off on the couch. The top of the couch, which is normally occupied by Squishmallows. The Squishmallows are now all over the floor. And I do have a poster up on the wall with a very reflective plastic on it, so that's not going to make it into the video. I had to clean the walls. I'm not sure if you can tell, but the walls are pretty dirty. And yes, they are going to be in the video. So then, so I'm just going to sit here, and there's like just a stack of blankets that normally goes right over here, and there's a bunch of stuff back there. Okay, so what you won't see is this microphone. You're not going to see this microphone in the frame. My camera is on a tripod, or my iPhone is on a tripod that's on 4 stacks of things, crates or whatever. And then we got the lighting, and then this, so that is going to record some audio with my Shure microphone on top. And then, but the real audio is going to come from this microphone, and it's going to travel along this cable. And this cable is going to go into my studio. And there is a bag of CDs that came from our car that just had a tree fall on top of it. Let's see here. All right, so that's going to come over here. And that microphone's going to plug into my iRig Duo, iRig Pro Duo. Oh, and there's a nice assortment of guitar picks over there as well. And so I will record that into my Logic Pro session, and then I will edit the audio later and then add that to the video, sync it up with the video, so we have some great audio and video. There's a cheap $125 guitar that I bought. But yeah, man, I think it's kind of funny, you know, because all you're going to see when you see the video is just, you know, me sitting on this couch right here, and it looks so clean and natural, and maybe a couple of pillows, but the fact of the matter is it's a real mess around here. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this little intimate look around my condo unit. Peace out, y'alls.